So now we're going to look at long-term memory, so taking that third component of the ModStorm model and looking at it in a bit more detail. Key idea here from Tolving was that the proposal of a single long-term memory store was too simplistic, and that there was evidence from various sources that actually it comprises of, well, three different stores. So what are those stores? We've got episodic. These are memories of past events. So first day at school, first date, first somebody's wedding, that holiday you went on. All of that would be episodic memory. It's time stamped. We know when that happened, when we acquired that memory. That's not going to be the case for some of the other ones we're going to look at. And we say that this is declarative. It can be consciously recalled, and it is easy to express verbally. So what was the last film you saw at the cinema? Oh, let me think. You can then tell the person what it was without any problem. So that's the first type. Then you have semantic and knowledge of the world. Some people liken this to a sort of mental encyclopedia. Knowing, I know you can't see it, but knowing that this is a laptop, that's an iPad, that's a mug, that's a phone, that's a window, this is a hoodie, okay, and so on and so on. Constantly being added to all the time. Huge collection of knowledge. And this is also declarative. So if somebody says, "What's that?" then you can bring that forward and offer that up quite easily. So episodic and semantic are both declarative. That's quite a useful thing to bear in mind if you have to compare and contrast these different types. Then we have procedural is the third and final type. This is our motor skills, physical movement, muscle memory, things that we can do without thinking about it. So maybe not for my students, but for me, driving a car, I don't have to think about the clutch and the gear stick, I just do it. Tying shoelaces, I can quite happily do another task while doing that. My sons can't, but we'll get there eventually. My poor attempts at juggling. So yeah, things we can do sort of unconsciously, just do it without having to think about it. Now, it won't be there initially, but eventually that will become procedural memory. And the contrast here is this is non-declarative. So quite difficult to verbalise. So yeah, when my son went to school and had to start wearing a tie for the first time, "Dad, how do you tie a tie?" "Well, you there you go, give me one and I'll show you." Very hard to do. I certainly can be a driving instructor, just do it. Okay, so that's the difference between this one. It's non-declarative. Also, just going back to the time-stamped idea for episodic memories, when did you learn that a window's a window? I don't know. Okay, so that's not time-stamped, and chances are you didn't know really when your procedural memories were formed either. Okay, I'm going to go through the evaluation because it's fairly straightforward. Same old thing. Have we got any research evidence to support this idea of different stores? Yes, we have. We've got case studies. So Clive Waring, where his procedure was clearly intact. He could still play the piano, even though, say, he hadn't played the piano before. His knowledge of the world was intact. He knew what was what, but his episodic just wasn't there. His wife would go out of the room for a matter of minutes, and when she comes back in, it's like a long-lost friend returning. Also with HM, he seemed to be able to pick up new procedural memories, but not other ones. So again, that supports a distinction. Brain imaging evidence, I'm not going to go into it in this video, I am keeping an eye on the clock, but if you have got different parts of the brain active depending on the type of task, then that supports different components. We've got application to therapy, so rather than just saying, "Oh, memory impairments," you can say, well, what type is it, and can we actually put something in place to try and improve it, or at least slow a decline if need be. So if you link this to dementia and things like that. Potential extension points if you wanted to take this further. There has been a suggestion that actually maybe there aren't three types, and that episodic and semantic are actually two aspects of one entity, so you could look into that. And also the brain imaging side of things isn't completely clear. There is some conflicting evidence as to exactly which parts of the brain are active in this or not. But that's long-term memory, hopefully a fairly clear-cut topic for you to look at.